So they all get a lei indicating that you stepped into paradise. So we do that in Character GPS summer camp, that when you have finished the program and you're coming down to graduation, it's like walking into paradise, right? So we are going to give you the color of your choice. What would you like? Purple, great. Do you guys have a preference? Yellow, good. All right. Color choices. Got more here. Okay, and then your script is sitting. You have your script with you? You have sitting where your script is. So, did you get a color? Which one would you like? Green, absolutely. Your choice of preference. Which one would you like, Thomas? Okay, which one would you like? You got it. Okay, good. All right, so Logan, what would you like? All right, you can officially put your lei on. We are ready to step into our Character GPS graduation. All right, we already got parents here to support you on the journey that you've been on. So with the technology, let's get it going here. There we go. That's a nice sound. All right, welcome to Character GPS graduation for Summer Camp 2024. You guys have worked very hard. We've packed a lot of information in 4 days. 4 days of experiences, learning that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. So let's hit the ground running here. So we welcome all of our parents here who have been on the journey with you each night, receiving learning sheets, right? And cheering you on and seeing if you're doing your application of your, my brain is so fried, your action plans, right? So we're practicing what we're learning. So just to let you parents know that we started this program 12 years ago and we are still on fire. We love helping to equip kids for success in life. I was the Vice President of Human Resources for Raymond James. You know, they have the name on the stadium, right? Pay $1 million a year for that advertising. So it was great helping people make a lot of money at Raymond James. I had 10,000 employees that I was responsible for, and that was all great. But we realized, thinking about the future, and our keynote speaker thinks the same way, that our future are our kids. And so it took all the leadership, programs and training that we had done for all the people at Raymond James and designed a special program for kids so they could learn the principles of success early and start practicing and applying them now. So we've kind of fallen into, as we've done summer camp since 2018, and I'm looking for Malik.
Guiding traffic.
Always guiding traffic. Our mentors are so helpful. Malik was in our first summer camp here back in 2018. But we've kind of fallen into a niche where we've been preparing mostly 8th graders for the jump to high school. It's a big transition. And sometimes it can be a little intimidating to our students. But after 4 days of being in Character GPS camp, the way we work them here, but also giving them the tools, 9th grade is going to be a piece of cake, right? So they're going to realize that they're going to hit the ground running while other kids are trying to even just, get up in the morning to go to school, right? Get on a good schedule. So we love what we do. We love helping our students. We had a great group of students for our summer camp. But it all started, our first relationship with Stewart Middle was back in 2014 as we partnered with the principal here, Dr. Beretta Wilson. And Dr. Beretta Wilson saw the advantage of our program and what it could do for her students. So we've been in partnership with her ever since. So 10 years we've been here at Stewart Middle. They've come to our celebrations each year that we have for Character GPS, our luncheon, and they have won awards as partners with us on the journey. And I will say that Loretta Wilson is a great leader. She cares about kids. She has been to every GPS graduation until unfortunately today. She had to be on the East Coast, the Space Coast for a STEM NASA program, and she said she couldn't find her way out of it. So she apologizes, but she's here in spirit with us, and obviously guiding and caring about all these students here. She actually came and spoke to our students when she could. She gave the halftime pep talk. You know, the coach does that at halftime in football, right? So she was here Wednesday morning for our halfway through to encourage the kids again in what they're doing, investing in their future. So unfortunately, okay, so I guess they're still out directing traffic. Malik and our other mentor, so Malik's been with us since 2018 and getting awards. And of course, whenever a student graduates from GPS, they are now eligible to become a mentor to help coach other kids coming through the program. So they get to practice their leadership. And of course, we are glad to write letters of recommendation for them. Not only does it look good on their scholarships and job applications to have leadership program, Character GPS, right? Character education, but also to be a mentor and a leader for the program. And so they've been getting awards. We've been presented to at our luncheon, where we have a very supportive, large audience at the luncheon for kids to receive something in front of that. This continues to build their confidence and self-esteem, and that's what we're all about. So Michael, this was his first summer, so there's Michael here, sporting his Character GPS t-shirt, not available in any store, right? It's special to our program. And so he'll be here shortly, and we will then recognize them as well. So here's a quick video that kind of explains just a little bit about what we are doing here. And that was supposed to run. Try again. There it goes.
Our young adults are surrounded by negative influences from the media and problems like bullying, disrespect, and lying. Character GPS can help our communities get back on track. Students are engaged in 8 weeks of interactive multimedia workshops that focus on real-life application of 16 character values. Lessons include practical exercises, action plans, and assessments to help integrate these values into thoughts and actions.
Our children, right?
Let's
We're
all
not
work
just
together
trying
to
to
steer
appeal
our
to their
children and
mind.
communities
We're
toward a
not just
better
trying to
way.
get compliance. We want them to own these principles, to have what we call commitment mode. So we talk about, since our directional thing, right, we have a compass, right? We say our kids have an internal compass. They know where they're going, they know what to do, and we train them to be leaders. So we'll be talking a little bit about what we've done. But when kids' needs aren't being met, we see kids act out. And so often we hear about bullying, cheating, stealing, fights, all these different things, but they boil down to really the bottom. Low self-esteem. When kids don't feel good about themselves, then their needs aren't going to be met, and they're not going to work to their full potential. So we've been talking about that. There's our mentors coming up here. All right. Come on up front here, guys. So Malik, again, has pioneered our summer camp in 2018, been a mentor ever since, and Michael, being our first mentor summer camp, we want to give them special recognition for their efforts. Because again, they could be doing something else with their summer, but they're here helping all these kids. So turn around here, guys. Let's get a picture with Debbie. All right, appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, thank you, Malik. All right,
Thank you.
and you see they are sporting the Character GPS t-shirt, right? Okay. Yeah, we have really worked hard. So we want to work not only in educating our kids, but we want to help them build their confidence and self-esteem. Because you can't lead others at a higher level than you lead yourself. So our kids are learning to build their confidence, and we'll explain some of the things that we did. The first thing is we have 16 core values of success. These core values help people make the right decisions to be successful in their life, and so then we practice them. So we've been working on learning these 16 core values and practicing. We do role plays, we have action plans, we talk about how to do these things so it becomes part of your life. So we've always done this with our kids. Oh, we have 7 toolkits for success, right? So we say, here's today, right? Guys, can you change your past?
No.
What can you change?
The future.
The future. You can't change the past. We've learned from the past, right? So what's the shortest distance from today to your amazing future?
A straight line.
Straight line. Wouldn't that be great if our kids could just be on that straight line to the future? But, guys, what happens?
Distractions.
We get distracted, right? So our program, our 7 toolkits, helps kids to reduce or eliminate the distractions in their life. And I think we'd all agree there's more distractions that kids have today than we had when we were growing up, right? So equipping them now to learn how to handle those things is really an important thing. So we teach them, for instance, using, again, metaphors that we all can understand, relate to, like driving a car, which all these guys are really excited to be doing here soon, right? Is that you have a small rear view mirror, right? Because you look behind you, you learn from your past, where you've been, but the real goal is to focus on what? What's in front of you. So the windshield is big, right? We want the kids to be excited about their future. So we've all had some trauma, some things happen in our life, that's in the past. We can overcome it by being excited about the future, realizing that we can overcome whatever we have faced in our life. So one of the metaphors that we use to find direction, right, is a comparison of the compass, which always points where, guys?
True north.
True north, right? Versus where does a weather vane point?
Follows where the wind goes.
See, how they know this by heart. Wherever the wind's blowing. It's kind of like our emotions, right? We're up, we're down, we're happy, we're sad, right? But if you use your emotions to make decisions, are you going to make mistakes?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? So we want them to get out of that mode of only doing what they feel like doing. Parents, you ever heard this? I don't feel like doing my homework. Maybe I don't feel like doing my chores. Hopefully, I don't feel like going to school, right? But if they only do what they feel like doing, they're going to make mistakes. Now, I'm sure all of you in your roles and responsibilities, going to work or whatever, you wake up in the morning, do you always feel like handling all your responsibilities, going to work, whatever? No, but what do? You go to work, you do the right thing. So we follow the compass, not what we feel like, we do the right thing. We head in the right direction, and that will produce great results in our life. But some kids, again, they act like this weather vane. So you ever heard, oh, everyone else is doing it, right? They want to follow the social, they're on social media and they hear other kids talking about this. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind, But if you allow other people to influence you just because they're doing it, does that make it right, guys? No. So we have to follow principles of success, right? You do the right thing even when it's not popular. And so we have helped our students understand that actually not fitting in is a good thing. The goal is not to fit in with everyone, right? The goal is to be yourself, to do the right thing. And then people might start following you and they see that you're heading in the right direction, right? So that's our opportunity to be leaders, is we no longer have to fit in. We can then choose what we want to do. But people that are weather vanes, we have what they call sad living, right? Because who are they focused on? Themselves, my emotions, all about me, the world revolves around me, right? Do they always get what they want when they want it?
No.
So they have adversity, and they end up disappointed. Now, I know many of you have been in different places. I've been to Haiti, I've been to the Philippines. I've seen people that have a lot less than what we do, right? But they're not as disappointed as Americans often are, right? Because we expect to have all this stuff, the advertising, and we compare and see what everyone else has, and so somehow we have to have that to be happy, but we know that that's not true. So we don't try to be like everyone else. We don't worry about whether we have what everyone else has, right? Because sad people that do that end up wandering in life. And unfortunately, they often end up staying on their parents' couch and not moving out, right? And that's a problem. But our leaders are focused on the GPS approach, right? The global or guiding principles of success. So they're seeking guidance. Wouldn't that be great if your kids are really coachable and when they come to you for advice, right? As opposed to sometimes you might be trying to give them advice. You ever had that, well, when I was your age, and immediately their eyes start to roll, right? Because they think, oh, that's outdated information, right? They have a technology mindset, the latest, greatest, phone, computer, what all that is, right? But our kids have learned that actually wisdom is eternal. It's the technology that gets out of date, right guys? So we're not trying to have the latest, greatest. We're trying to find the truth. Because the truth will set you free. Beautiful, right? So they then make proactive choices. They think ahead. And then, guess what? They have a lot of good luck. But we know it's not a random shake of the dice. The luck is by making good decisions, you end up at the right place at the right time with the right people, right? You make the right friends. People that do the wrong thing at the wrong time with the wrong people, they have bad luck. And of course they blame it on luck, but who really should they be blaming? Themselves, right? So this is the opportunity that we presented to our kids, and all 8 of our students here have embraced this. So they have actually learned how their brains work. And one of the things is with managing their emotions, their primitive brain, that's the weather vane, that's your animal fight or flight, right? We are animals, but we also have a frontal lobe. If we can calm the emotions down, now we can kick into the frontal lobe and reason and think through and make good decisions. But how old are we before our frontal lobe is fully developed?
25.
25, right? So we always ask, is anyone 25? Maybe sometimes, someone raises their hands, they're kidding, right? But right now, guys, can you point to someone who you know is at least 25? You don't have to tell their age, right? Point to someone who's at least 25 and has life experience. Do you see it in the room? Your parents, right? Coaches, teachers, right? So those are the people that we seek advice from, right? Coaching. Because they care about you, they have a frontal lobe so they can think through things, and they have life experience that you don't have, right? So you don't have to stumble through life, what we call the school of hard knocks. It means you have to figure it out yourself. You can have your coaches help you through, so you have to be coachable. All right? So if we are willing to be more proactive and use the frontal lobe of ourselves and others, we're going to make great decisions in our life. Come on in. Glad to have you. So our 7 toolkits are like a staircase. They're a sequenced curriculum. So some of our education people, right? It's not 7 topics. These are 7 toolkits that build on one another to get to the highest level, which we just finished up here a few hours ago, is teamwork. And we'll share a little bit of what we learned on that as well. So looking at the straight line, okay, the kids say, yeah, straight line, that looks good, Mr. Kane, but how do you do it? How do you stay on a straight line with all the distractions in life? So we say, imagine that this is one bank of a river. You got the river flowing, and you want to get to the other bank where your great future is, right? If the current, though, of the river is very strong, like the current in our culture, can you just swim across, guys? No. But if you had stepping stone to rise above all the current in the culture, could you get to the other side?
Yes.
And that's what Character GPS is. So we start off with proactive responsibility, making good decisions, right? So that we take responsibility for what we do. We make a mistake, we apologize for it, and then make corrections. We're heading in the right direction. Second one is our CD, my favorite, can do. My last name's Kane. We were raised with a can-do attitude. Sounds a little corny, right? But with 7 kids, my parents didn't have much time to waste. So if you came to them and you said, I can't do something, what did my parents say?
You can do it.
Your name's Kane, you can't do it, end of discussion. Put your energy into solving the problem, not making excuses, right? So we've kind of adopted all the students here into the Texan Kane family here. So the third step, talents discovered. When you know your talents, you can then work from your strengths. That helps you stay focused. Then you can apply your talents to a vision. What can you do? What is your purpose? How can you make a positive difference in this world? And so we've been thinking about that in these 4 days. And then once you have a vision, does that get you to your future? No, we need more steps. So 3 T's, self-management, managing your time, temptation, and treasure, right? You can manage yourself. Now you can stay on the path to your plans for your future, right? Now that you can manage yourself, now you're ready to have healthy relationships. MR, right, which is Mr., shows what?
Meaningful relationships.
Right. It shows respect, but that's our meaningful relationships, MR. That's why we chose that, right? So we want to have healthy win-win relationships following the golden rule, which says, remember the golden rule?
Treat others.
Treat yourselves, or treat others how you want to be treated.
There you go, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated, right? If you want people to be kind to you, what should you do first? Be kind to them. If you want people to respect you, what should you do first? Respect them, right? And of course, we have parents in here, so isn't it a good idea to respect your mother and your father? Right? We honor them, right? Okay. So once we're good on relationships, now we're ready to get to the highest level, TLC, right? Which stands for?
Teens love collaborating.
Teams love collaboration. We practice some collaboration here today, right? And of course, we have been working together all along, but we have learned the skills of collaboration. So now, if you have these stepping stones, guys, can you get to your future?
Yeah.
There we go, right? So we've been setting them up for success. They've been learning these tools, so they're setting themselves up for success. So this is our roadmap, and these then allow them to follow each of these toolkits all the way to graduation. Say something, someone dinging there. Here we go. All right. One of the tools that we use then to help them measure their progress is, have you heard of the IQ, right? Intelligence quotient, right? You see, what your intelligence is. You maybe heard of an EQ, an emotional quotient. How do you manage your emotions? Well, we believe that there's a CQ, a character quotient, that measures your maturity. So we use our 7 toolkits and say, are we progressing from more immaturity to becoming more mature? And all of our students just did an assessment of themselves. They put a circle where they were on Monday. They put a square where they were then today, 4 days later. And everyone marked themselves that they made quite a bit of advancement. That's amazing in 4 days, right? We love to see that kind of result, but it shows their confidence. Now, would we say that's absolutely accurate? No. But you parents, you can use, and maybe you can mark on there where giving them feedback where you think you are, right? Give a little perspective, but it's a great tool. And as they then go on to school next year, you could come back to this, guys, and you could continue to mark how much more have I grown in each of these areas. So you could start to grade your own paper, so to speak, right? Track your growth. So we're also an anti-bullying program. Kids all know that bullying is wrong, right? And so all of our 7 toolkits, we call it adventures because you're on this journey, right? Has different components to learn about handling bullying, right? So every single one of them. Now, when I ask the students now, who has the problem, you or the bully? The bully, right? Our kids are really, it's not about them. They don't have the problem. The bully is insecure, so they pick on someone to try to feel better about themselves. So our kids have learned how to handle that. They've learned to even try to help the bully. Can you imagine that, right? The bullies pick on you. Our leaders have learned how to turn it around so they can help the bully and maybe get them on track. So pretty amazing. Now also, sometimes, again, because of trauma, kids start to believe something about themselves that's not true. So we have to sometimes unlearn what you've learned, right? So we did some of that here. So sometimes the trap they fall into is, I'm a victim. Whether it's the bully or whatever, something happens to me, poor me, right? But that's not the truth, is it, guys? Right?
No.
You're not a victim, you are a victor. You can overcome anything that happens in your life. You got to believe in yourself, you got to build the skills, but you can do it. A second thing, they might think, I can't be responsible. And that's a really nice, easy out, right? When parents are coaching and you're trying to hold them responsible, and they say, oh, it's not my fault, I'm not a responsible person, right? That's a cop-out, but parents, sometimes you have to think about what's the response to that one, right? But our kids know that they are responsible, right? They can make good decisions, and if they make a mistake, they can apologize and correct that and get on track. So making good choices is the best way to avoid that problem in the first place. Some people think I'm broken. Maybe I had something happen to me that was tough, right? But you guys, we know we're not broken, right? You are capable, right? You can move forward. You can apply your talents and abilities to do anything you want, right? You might break a bone, but the bone heals, right? You heal, you move forward, you're stronger from that point on. Some kids compare, they say, I'm not smart, someone's smarter than me, right? Well, we have learned how to learn in these 4 days. They know how their brains now learn, and so they can be rocket scientists, brain surgeons. We watched a movie, the Ben Carson story, Gifted Hands. He thought he was dumb as a kid, and he's a brilliant guy, right? So our kids have learned. They can, once they know how to learn, they can learn anything. And sometimes, unfortunately, kids are either told or made to believe they're not worth very much, right? And so we do an exercise called You Are Priceless, right? Because you guys, we all know now, everyone is unique, right? A unique combination of skills, abilities, their fingerprint, their DNA is different from anyone else, right? But we also know that you're unique and can't be replaced. So you've got a special purpose. So by definition, you're priceless. What do you do with something that's priceless?
Treasure.
You take care of it, right? That's why bullying makes no sense. But the bully believes it because they don't think that they're priceless, right? They don't know the truth. But we know everyone is priceless, even the bully. So instead of being worthless, even though you might have been told that, our kids now know the truth. Everyone is priceless. And if we act accordingly to that, we treat people in positive ways, we treat ourselves, we respect everyone that we work with. So some people say, oh, I don't have any talents, Mr. Kane or Mrs. Kane, right? And so Ms. Debbie and I were coaching these kids through, we got to get them to believe in themselves. And sometimes it takes someone else believing in you before you believe in yourself, right? I think we all probably had that in our lives. So when you think you're not talented, well, we did a Myers-Briggs personality survey and showed that everyone here has natural God-given gifts, right? Talents that you can apply. All you have to do is discover them and then develop them. Just like a muscle, you got to work them though, right? It takes a little bit of work and effort. But our kids learned in here, short-term hard, long-term easy, right? If you're willing to work at something, you make your life better. But unfortunately, a lot of people these days, they'd rather do the short-term easy and then life becomes long-term hard, right? So they have understood now that concept. You study for a test, you ace the test, right? You practice for the game, you play better in the game. Yeah, well, maybe you win, right? But preparation, believing that you can develop your talents. Sometimes kids think, I don't fit in. Well, the goal is not to fit in, right? You're a leader, right? You be yourself. You do the right things, even if it's not popular, but people will start to see the results that you get. Sometimes people feel a little alone, right? But again, all you have to do is join the teams around you, your family, build a team at school, join a sports team, whatever, but you can become part of a team. Doing life alone is really tough. That's not the way we were designed to be. So maybe I have to figure things out myself. But the school of hard knocks, do it yourself, that's really rough, right? We've taught our kids, you watch, you observe, you see other people make mistakes, and you learn from them so you don't have to do that, right? So this is our opportunity to be coachable. And it starts, of course, at home. We have great parents here. All of you care because obviously you have them in our program, right? And if our kids now can apply more of coachability to listen and work with you, I think you're going to see some real gains there. So just quickly going through our 7 toolkits, being proactive, not reactive, not going with our emotions where we have no time to think. We learn to slow down and consider the values and make the best choice. So we kind of practice with principles of success. Like, for instance, the law of gravity is a principle. It applies to all of us, right? Guys, how do we know that gravity is working right now? We're sitting. We're not floating around, right? So I said, well, okay, so we all know it's true, right? It's a principle, but do you value it? Do you respect that principle? So he said, how would you test that? Well, would you jump off a tall building without a parachute, without a net? It's a good question to ask, right? Now, some kids will say, yeah, that looks like fun. They spent way too much time on the computer, right, in fantasy world, where gravity doesn't necessarily apply. But we asked Thomas here, what would you do? And Thomas said, oh, no, I'm not jumping off the tall building, right? Because he respected health, you know, making good decisions, right? Living a long life. So just making good decisions based on those values helps us to avoid some of the silly mistakes that people are willing to make. So we did an exercise called Stab the Potato, where you had to prepare to be successful. Because if you just took a stab with a flimsy straw, like a Burger King straw, against a solid potato, we had 4 of you try. Did anyone make it the first time? No, we just took a stab. But a lot of times our kids, they just want to take a stab thinking, okay, that's all the effort I'm going to put in, right? But we then trained them, so we put our thumb on top of the straw. What does that do?
It restricts the airflow.
Right, it traps the air, makes the straw stronger, and then when we go to stab, we don't just stop. What do?
You follow through.
Follow through. In life, when you follow through, good things happen, including going right through that potato. So then, all 4 of them were successful, right? So we learn techniques. We don't just take a stab at things in life. So we use the iceberg as a metaphor for who we are. There's the tip of the iceberg that everyone sees, which is about what percent, guys?
10%.
About 10%. So that means what's below the surface that keeps it afloat is your character, right? That's 90% of who you're on the inside. So that's why we don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, we know that, right? So we've been telling them, if you practice these things to build these values into your life, into your character, after 30 days they come to the surface, right? And that means you're going to get the benefit. Freedom, trustworthiness, you respect yourself, you have great relationships, right? And we say that what's on the inside comes out under pressure. Some people can fake it and look good and all that, right? But when you're under pressure, like you squeeze a lemon, what comes out of a lemon? Sour lemon juice, right? Sometimes people, like, they smile, say all the things, but they're struggling on the inside, right? But if you squeeze a sweet Georgia peach, what comes out? Sweet Georgia peach juice, right? So we are learning as leaders then that if we become the real deal, we're not faking it, then under pressure, we're going to keep doing the right thing, right? And the good from us will come out and other people will see that. So we are understanding that we're not victims, so our two mentors helping us to do some recording and everything, right? Learning some different skills. But giving good advice from what they have already been learning on the journey as they've been going along. Our second is our CD. We love Tim Tebow, athletes like him. At the end of the game, no one is going to stop him. So that season with the Broncos, they had 8 come from behind victories, right? But the point was that we never give up, right, guys? And if the leader doesn't give up, the rest of the team will join in, right? So you guys being trained to be leaders, your can-do attitude will become contagious, right? So again, I told my story of the Texan Canes, right? And how my dad was actually the last of the Texan Canes. And then my mom and dad had 7 kids, so they solved that problem, right? They both were actually only children. I mean, it's pretty amazing how they did this, right? But we had ingrained in us, right, to believe that we could do it. You remember that? Real quick, the story. We were told that we had to what? We had to save up for college, right? My parents said, look, we don't have the money. You got to get good grades, you get scholarship, and we had to tie 10% to our college savings bank, right? Was that popular with us kids? No. But it got us to commit to it. So I told them the story of my little sister Laura. She had this big lollipop, you know, kids, that's gold to a little kid, right? She was 3 years old, and one day she's walking to the refrigerator and with this lollipop, and I'm kind of watching, she opens the freezer. I say, Laura, what are you doing? And her 3-year-old voice, she says, I'm saving my lollipop for college. That's how ingrained we were in that coaching, right? But how many of us kids made it to college? All 7. How many graduated from college? How many went on to get master's degrees in my family? And then my kid brother Steve's the genius, right? He's the PhD. He reprogrammed the Hubble Space Telescope because it had a defect in the lens, so you get beautiful pictures. That's my brother Steve. Of course, he was younger than me. I taught him everything he knows, right? But that's the way the stories go. So we then practice these skills. So one of them is we use, again, things that are easier to remember, that learning is a 3-step process. And so we matched it up here to catching a football, right? Remember that? So I'm throwing the football. The first thing you have to do is receive it, right? You got to receive the information, then you have to do what? Store it, and then you can use it. So we actually went into how your brain works. And part of it was that if all your information goes in your short-term memory, what happens when you go to sleep at night?
It dumps out.
It dumps out, it cleans out for the next day. So that's why you do your teaching before you go to bed. That's why they have their teaching sheets, to move it all to long-term memory so they can permanently store it. So now our kids know how to learn, right? And we also practice test taking, which is another skill to demonstrate what you know. So we've been working all angles of it to set our kids up for success. And of course, Dr. Wilson came in to reinforce the can-do attitude with our students. A little pep talk Wednesday morning. So we really appreciate her. Now again, things in life, when you're doing the right thing, you don't do it to get awards. But during COVID, when they wanted to shut everything down for kids, and we knew that kids needed interaction. Being isolated for a lot of kids was not good for them. So we did all the things, temperature checks, sanitizing, but we kept our classes open during COVID to keep coaching, helping our kids actually handle what they were going through, right? And out of the blue, what happened, guys?
You got a reward.
I get this award from the state of Florida. It's a Community Heartbeat Award for Debbie and I because we made that decision. Now, we didn't do it to win an award, but often when you're doing the right thing, people will give you an attaboy. You know, you're on the right track, keep going, right? And so that helps us kind of continue our commitment to do the right thing. Developing talents. So we had heroes in our camp that we told them how they developed their talents. This young girl learned to play the piano in her dad's music store in Buffalo, New York. At the age of 4, she practiced, loved it. By the age of 13, she was teaching adults how to play the piano. She went on to be a concert pianist, right? She pretty good, guys? Right? My fingers don't move that fast, right? She's memorized the music. Practice makes what? Perfect. So who is this amazing pianist? Miss Debbie, right? My wife, Miss Debbie, yeah? We're just showing our kids that whatever you enjoy, whatever talent that you have, if you're willing to practice it and get good at it, you can then excel. But not just for yourself. When people excel, they become a hero when they share it with other people. So Miss Debbie loved to teach piano lessons from kids age 3 to senior citizens, right? So we know that heroes love to pass on their passion to help other people as well. And so I am very lucky to have a wife who does that. So we learned that we have 16 different kinds of personalities. Everyone learned what theirs are. When we discovered them, we celebrate. Like you score a touchdown when you discover your talents, TD, right? So this was our camp last week, and then our camp this week. So everyone's celebrating. Now another exercise we did was to recognize that we're priceless. Sometimes we don't really believe that. So we do what's called a hero in the mirror. So we had the kids capture positive words from their profile, from what they knew about themselves, and we had them put it on their hero in the mirror. We took a picture and we have it framed for them today so they can take it home, put it in the bathroom, whatever, to remind themselves that every day you're worth how much?
Priceless.
Priceless, right? And you can remind you, even on a bad day, you're still priceless, right? What you do with the bully can't change your value. So you just got to keep encouraging yourself and then encourage others. So we're proud of our priceless students here, put some really good effort into their hero in the mirrors, right? And then we learned about having a vision for your life. Remember, guys, we said you have to answer 3 questions in life. What do I have to have? What do I have to do? And who do I want to be? But the order that you answer these things is very important, right? What does the world advertising want you to focus on? Have, right? You got to have the stuff, to look cool, to be happy, all that kind of stuff. Then you do things to pay for all that, and you end up being what? Broke, right? Or in debt, right? We're the richest country in the world. 75% of Americans are in debt, right? Not so good. Now, some people who don't have the money, then they also use the 5-finger discount and then end up being in jail, right? So whatever you do, that approach, have, do, be, is not going to work, right? So we learned that the real approach is this inside out. Don't matter what's on the outside, not trying to look good, it's who you are on the inside. So we've helped our kids during these 4 days to really focus on who do they want to be, right? And then what can they do to develop those talents, pursue those interests, and then to have the things in life that money can't buy. A sense of self-respect, accomplishment, right? Things that they can do, and guess what? Then they can teach others. So be, do, have is the inside approach that our kids have been learning. Dr. Wilson, again, encouraged them to have that vision. And so they learned to use a tool called a SMART goal. Okay, a SMART goal plan. So they took whatever they wanted to be, and then they were specific, right? What was the next piece? M, measurable. A, attainable. R, relevant. And T, time bound. So when they think through these things, now they're not just wishing for a dream, they're actually creating a plan to pursue and make that dream come true. So all 8 of your kids now have one plan. Of course, it could change, but they've got the tool so they can use it for anything that they want to pursue, right? And of course, we said that the great news is when you know that, then you're going to share it with other people. And you may just step into the elevator with someone who says, oh, You know, what are you doing here at NASA? Oh, I want to be a NASA engineer, and they have this plan. I've got 5 years to do this, get my education, get my degree. And when you can articulate a plan, people are impressed. They usually want to say, hey, I know someone who can help you. So guess what? You create good luck when you talk about your plan for your future. But if you step in the elevator with someone and they ask, what do you want to be? And you say, I don't know. Can they help you with I don't know? No. See, so you create the good luck when you talk about the vision for your future. So Anthony in our program, his SMART goal plan, go to college, study medicine, and he wants to pursue becoming a great surgeon, right? So I don't know about you, but if he was my surgeon, I'd feel pretty confident, but he still has a little ways to go to get that done, right? All right. So he's working at it. So then our 3T, managing your time, temptation, treasure. Now you say, wait a second, why are you getting your kids stressed out, worried about managing time? Well, it starts at a young age when we start to get bad habits, right? So we have 24 hours of the day. Everyone's on the same playing field, but how you use your time will determine your success in life, your happiness in life, right? So we talk about kids as making good time decision habits, prioritizing, and what should you be investing in of the 4 different categories: must do, prepare, distraction, and escape. Where should you invest your time? Preparation, right? Because when you prepare, you're ready for the must-dos, right? I study for the test, I ace the test, right? I practice hard, and for the game, we win the game, right? And the more success they have, the more you're committed to go prepare more, right? That gets your kids on a path to success where you don't have to nag them or coach them. They're managing themselves, right? Because they're motivated to do what's right. So we've been helping them to analyze their time, and it's kind of surprising, but some of our kids realize they're wasting time. Can you believe that? Now, we're young, right? But we can make some choices. We can change some of where we spend our time and invest more in preparation. And the kids were actually really on board with that. So that's where some of our change, where we can change our habits. So given that we can now analyze, and now they can grade their own paper. How am I doing, right? They don't have to have mom and dad nag them, try telling them that you're wasting time. Because guys, if we waste time, can you ever get it back? No. So, in meaningful relationships, right, the golden rule is the key, right? What does it say? We said treat others the way you want to be treated. Think win-win, right? We don't try to win at the expense of other people. We try to create mutually beneficial solutions. And again, we often then start the process. We initiate being kind. The kindness comes back. We initiate the respect comes back. So I guess Aretha Franklin had it right. We got to respect everyone's special personality, ethnicity, culture, and talents. Some of the times the music makes it a little memorable, right? So sometimes our parents are asking just for a little respect, right? But our kids realize that you guys actually deserve a lot of respect. And if they start really showing respect to you, then they realize that you might then respect some of the wishes that they have, the needs, the concerns that they have in their lives as well. So we helped our kids learn that they can actually change their habits. They can understand what's a bad habit, a good habit, and they can actually go through the process so that they can continue to build better habits in their lives. Isn't that real cool? That's a lifelong challenge for all of us, right? We all have bad habits. We all have a little fun identifying our bad habits, right, guys? But we can overcome those. So we played a lot of games like Family Feud, and so we were looking at trying to understand how tough it is to be a parent. What a great exercise, right? So we realized parents have to feed you, right? They have to educate you, provide a clean home, shelter, right? And they have to keep you healthy. But do we do things that make it hard for them sometimes? Yes. So we kind of made a commitment that they're going to work on trying to make it easier for you in those areas, right? To feed you, don't be so picky, right? To educate you, actually get your homework done, right? Do the things that help your parents help you, right? It's a winning team approach. So when we get to teamwork, we're at the highest level where we can now collaborate, work together. So we did a lot of role plays, practicing these things out. It was a lot of fun, right? So when we practice makes perfect, right? But together, everyone achieves more. And I think our students really began to believe that. We demonstrated it, we did it with puzzles, where it's hard to solve some puzzles, but then when you did it together, you could get them all done, and it's more fun to do it with other people, right? We also know that the principle, two are better than one, but that's based on the relationship working well, right? So again, we worked on how do we build these trusting, productive relationships in our life, and have a little fun in the process. So pulling that all together is what we're coming to celebrate here today with you. But the knowledge that they've learned, and the belief, because they did it, is that with teamwork, nothing is impossible, right? You can do it. So the idea is that we can do things that set ourselves up for success, and if we add in our energy, our dreams, our passions, when you combine that together, what do you get?
You got your passion, you gotta believe that this is why you were made.
We get synergy, right? And that's what we did so much.
It takes a little time to see.
You can do anything. So we actually practiced, because my dad was in advertising, so we always critique ads on TV and stuff, you know. But he talked about how important it is to have a slogan, right? Have a slogan that has a positive message, but it's catchy, right? And then you give people the instruction. Stop this, start this, whatever it is, right? So our kids came up with ad campaigns. One group did it for stop smoking, right? How dangerous that was. And see, what was your slogan?
Stop stealing. Stealing.
Stealing is not appealing.
Stealing's not appealing? Okay, I got it. So we had stealing as one, and then we had the drugs, right? So what was it, Nick?
Quit, Nick, and we'll kill you for it.
There you go. Quit Nick, nicotine, right? Right, it'll kill you quick. So we had fun, but we put our ideas together, even though we're all very different. We created something that we wouldn't have done on our own. So now everyone has experienced what synergy really feels like, right? We're better together when we work together than on our own. So we are now ready then for some wise advice to put this into our lives. So we've invited an amazing leader. This leader is going to talk to you about what he's learned in life. He started back in New York in 1954. He graduated from Babylon High School. He attended UT, USF, and Hamburger University. That'll give you a little clue. He started working at McDonald's as a bathroom cleaner, right from the bottom, right? Married his beautiful wife, Margie, best thing he ever did. Has 3 children, 3 grandchildren. 94, became vice president of the local Casper's McDonald's. Volunteered with a lot of different non-for-profits, board members, participated in Enterprise Village, giving back to the community, board of directors for Hillsborough Education Foundation, at McDonald's, participate in the community, chairman for Kids and Canines, and today, our character GPS keynote speaker, give a big hand applause for our very own Bob Sanikier. Bob, come on down.
Thank you, Jeff. Great to be here.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up
That's
this
a good
presentation.
speaker, isn't it? Good evening, everybody. It is an honor for me to be here today, especially for those 8 of you. Advances this one right here.
Yeah.
The 8 of you sitting in the front row. A lot of the things that I have to say blend perfectly with what you've learned over the last 4 days. Pretty significant that you're here. How many of you go to Stewart? Raise your hand. I think 4 of you go to Stewart. And what schools do you go to?
Some of those are 8th graders going to high school.
8th grade going into high school. How many students are there at Stewart Middle School? About. How many? What do you
About
think?
1,000 students.
About 1,000 students? And if there are 2 or 3 other schools, let's add a few more 1,000 of them. Let's say 4,000 students. How many of them are sitting right here? 8. That sets you apart from them at such a high level of significance that you all need to understand where you are and who you are, right? let's start going through this. That's me, and this, I'm retired Vice President of Community Relations for Casper's company. They owned 60 McDonald's restaurants at the time that I retired. All right, what am I doing wrong? Is it
The
the
right
very
button.
bottom button? No, there.
There, now you're good.
For 47 years, I worked for that company. And as you saw, what Jeff put up there, I started, my first responsibility was cleaning toilets and urinals. And most people go, oh, I'm not gonna do that. Ah! Yes. Here's something I'm gonna guarantee all of you, right here. You're all gonna start at an entry-level position somewhere. And you know what's cool about that? You can stay there as long as you want. Just do an average job. Show up most of the time. And you'll stay there at that entry-level position. But like he talked about gravity, that's keeping your butt in that seat right now. There's a gravity in the business world too. It's called you do a good job, you're going to get noticed. So I got noticed, and I got promoted and promoted and promoted. I'm an author and a speaker. I wrote a book! When I retired, my first goal was to write a book about my journey and have a legacy piece for my family and for my children. My second goal was to break even, because it costs a lot of money to write a book and bring it to market. So, there's my book. Title of the book is Generating Happiness, 47 years of life lessons under the arches. I suggest you buy a book for you and one for everyone you've ever known all your life. It's available at generatinghappiness.com. So, let me make sure I don't get ahead of myself. I want to repeat some of the things that Mr. Kane talked about what exists in your world today. Some of the challenges that make your head spin and want to explode, that you want to just take duct tape, tie your head together so it doesn't explode. So we talked about drugs, gangs, social media pressures, bullying, fighting, homework, grades, GPA! I know that's tough, especially when you got to bring that report card home and mom says, let me see it. Yeah. GPA, home responsibilities, money pressures, cheating, disrespect, stealing, dealing. How do you navigate? What did I miss? Any other tough things? What did I miss? Come on, tell me. What did I miss? There's another one in there that's tough. What did I miss? What did I miss? Anything? What are some other tough things that you deal with? You got one? You got one for me? All right. I know you do. It's in your back pocket. But what does it feel like when you've got all of these things that you've got to manage? It feels like that. I jumped into the fire! Well, I'm going to tell you how to get out of it. In addition to what the Canes have taught you over the last 4 days. And I'm going to start about talking about one of my favorite subjects. Me. And my job description when I was working at Casper's Cup in their restaurants. So, there it is. Those are some of the things I did. Marketing, communications, POP, that's point of purchase, merchandising, digital menu board programming, agency liaison with our advertising agency. I was in charge of all the service awards, crew incentives, blah, 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 blah. All those things I did. And I was asked to give those a job description when people wanted me to be a guest speaker. Say, oh, what do you do? What's your job description? I wrote all of those things. And I went through, I looked at every one of those things, And what was the net result of everything I did? When I was in the restaurants, I was running restaurants, and I hand that Happy Meal, and I go, here you go, little princess, here's your Happy Meal. What was the net result? Just a smile. When I had an assistant manager that's working for me again, I said, congratulations. You're now going to be promoted to store manager and run a multi-million-dollar restaurant. What was the restaurant? What was the results of that? How about when I went like this? I said, here you go, congratulations. Here's your new company car. When they never had a car. What was the net result of all of those things that I did? It was this. Come on. Wasn't all those things. I generated happiness. That's what I did. And at that point, I changed my job description. Those 2 words. What do? I generate happiness. That's what I do. And all 4,000 of our employees, that is now your job description. Whether you're cleaning the crapper, or whether you're the president of the company, your first responsibility is to understand that what it is that you do, if you do it well, you are going to generate happiness. It's really good in the book. You should buy the book. So, I started researching and trying to understand the whole happiness thing. I'm going to make this focused for you. It is really good stuff. Are you paying attention? Is he paying attention? If he doesn't, just hit him in the back. It started long before these guys, but they documented it. You know who these guys are? The fathers, the founding fathers of our country. Most people don't know all of them, especially John Jay, who nobody really remembers John Jay. He's actually a pretty cool dude. If you look him up and read him. Most of the other names on there you certainly recognize. But whether they were biblically inspired or the actual hand of God was part of it, they wrote that. The Declaration of Independence. It is a brilliant document. If you ever get a chance, read it in its entirety. Here's the words that most of you are familiar with. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable, you know what unalienable means? It means can't take them away. Unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of, the pursuit of happiness. So, that's helped me to get to the point where I wrote my book. So how do you pursue happiness? And you know when you get it. Well, there's kind of a formula. And it started, but you don't catch it, you give it. Well, how does that work? That's you. And he talked about that in his training. Each and every person in this room is uniquely gifted. You're going to be a doctor one day, right? Wasn't that picture of you on there? You have a gift. It's in your heart. Right now, when you go to school, the whole point of teaching you is to help you discover what that gift is. And for all of us that are in this room, moms and dads and loved ones, all right, sometimes it isn't readily evident. Sometimes it emerges. Sometimes you go through waypoints, and then people come in and out of your life, and then you discover what your true talent really is. But you are uniquely gifted. I love this quote here. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. All right, here's where it starts coming together. Typically, I do about a 1-hour speech on this, so we're doing the speed version of this. All right, we're going to try and get it together. How to serve. How to serve. So you're gifted. I believe good Lord gifted us. I believe that's where it came from. That's for me. You can try and figure out where you think it came from. I think it came from Him. I discovered my gift to generate happiness. And I've come to figure that true happiness does not come from what you get. It's not the big house, the nice car, a lot of money. All right? All of us like to have a lot of money in our pocket, right? Wouldn't that be neat? All right? It's good. You can buy things with it, but it isn't necessarily where the happiness comes from. The happiness comes from serving others with your talent, whatever that is. Develop it, discover it, mold it. And you may go on your journey and you're not too sure, and then you're going to meet somebody that's going to have an impact on you. And you may think you're going in a certain direction, and all of a sudden somebody influences you, and this thing grows inside of you, and maybe you change your path. I'll give my son as an example. He went to college, UCF, graduated with 2 degrees. So proud of him. One in finance and one in business management with an entrepreneurial track. So proud of my son. He went up to Tennessee with his best friend. They both graduated together to study how to be in the finance business. They were going to get rich in the finance business. They trained for a year, 2 degrees. Came back down, says, Dad, give me a list of your contacts. I'm going to call them. I'm going to sell them these products. 6 months later, he comes to me and says, Dad, I hate it. He says, we're going to start a catering company. Are you kidding me? Do you know how hard it is to make it in this industry in Tampa with the highest mortality rate in the hospitality industry? He says, Dad, I want to have what you have. I want to generate happiness. What do you say to that? For 4 years in a row. I asked him, I said, son, what about your 2 degrees? A year of training. He says, Dad, I'm going to use everything I learned there to be successful. Last 4 years in a row, they've been voted the #1 catering company in Tampa. Salt Block Hospitality.
Wow.
Very proud. I'm telling you all that to help you understand there is something in all of you. Serve with that talent. And when you serve at the highest level, that is how you say thank you. And things will come to you that you never even dreamed of, because you did what you did at the highest possible level. All right, almost done here. I got one more quote. I think. Do I got one more or 2 more? Let me see. Oh yeah. This is a great quote. No!
What's in
Not
there?
that.
That's
See
the
it
next
there.
slide.
All right, here's the quote. The quote is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Give you a little example. 1968, my brother's working at Grumman's in Long Island, New York. They make military hardware. And there was a guy that was retiring that for umpteen years, he was a riveter. He made jet airplanes. If you ever look at a jet airplane, you see all those little panels, all the little tiny, for 30 some odd years, 40, I don't know how many years, that's all this guy did. He was a riveter. So when they interviewed him, they said, Joe Glotz, what did you do for all those years? And he didn't say I was a riveter. He said, I helped protect the free world. A little bit different perspective, right? One last example. I'm almost done here. I got a $20 bill. All right, nice and crisp, nice and nice. How many of you would like this $20 bill? I assume all of you would like this $20 bill. I think everybody out there likes this $20 bill. Okay. I just crumbled it up. How many of you would like this $20 bill still? Well, everybody still likes a $20 bill. I just stomped on it, I crumbled it. How many of you would still like this $20 bill? Uh-huh. I just spit on it. How many of you still want this $20 bill? Whoa, everybody still wants it, huh? Point is, it doesn't matter what you've gone through, how tough that journey's been, you never lose your worth, ever. All right, I need some help. I need you to reach into that pocket, young man, you're gonna help me, and pull out one of those pieces of paper in there, right in there. And give me that one piece of paper. You got one? There were 8 pieces of paper. Where's Logan? Who's Logan? Logan, I'm going to give you a clean $20 bill. That's for you.
All right.
All right. So, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Everybody. And we got cameras. They're all being filmed here. All right. You're bringing it home. Remember in the beginning, you jumped into that fire. I found a song while I was jogging one night that finishes perfectly. It's a praise song, but it just kind of fits in here. And remember, you're all being filmed. I want to see who really gets into this the best. All right, ready? One more time. Are you into it? Thank you all. I love you. Even though I just met you, I love you because I know what you're going to bring to this world. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you all here today. God bless you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Arrow. It doesn't get a picture here. Thanks so much.
Thanks, sir.
And so on that note about how our kids can escape from the culture that we live in, our students yesterday took a pledge to live drug and alcohol free. When we studied our brain and how it works and what these drugs do to our bodies and everything, they all earned a Character GPS Challenge coin. How about a hand
so
for our
proud of you.
graduates? And they were working on a vision board for what their future, their wonderful future could look like, right? So it's just kind of the creative juices flowing. It's a thinking pad. Obviously, these will continue to emerge. But our kids have been working hard for 4 days, and we have now gotten to the point where we're ready to celebrate. And so as we, oh, I gotta get this off. Switching back. there's Bob. But our kids know when they hear the NGM music, that's our time to go to Character GPS Theater. We're going to live out now what we've been learning, but this is not the end. This is actually just the beginning of the rest of your life, right? But we hit the highlight of our program here because we're going to learn a little bit more about our kids and what they want to do with their lives, right? That we've been talking about. So we had them prepare, pull out of all that they've learned from these 4 days into what we call our GPS script. It's kind of like a summary, okay? And so we had kids working hard. They were doing their teaching sheets with you. They were taking pre-tests, post-tests on all the learning that they did. You parents, when you got emails and you responded, they got bonus chips. Debbie's been using a supercomputer having to add up how many chips you guys have been earning. So we want to congratulate them for all the hard work, right? The chips are just kind of a fun way to do it, but you're going to get prizes. So our top chip getter for all the work that was done is Anthony. Come on now, Anthony Ruiz, right? So of course, he's wearing his Character GPS wristband, not available in any store, right? To remind him he's on the leadership team. So we're going to kind of run through these questions real quick. We're going to practice, and then everyone can share with their folks, right? So what are a couple favorite words that describe you, Anthony?
That I'm hardworking and smart.
Right, and of course you're priceless, right? Very hardworking. So what would you like to be someday? What's your dream?
I want to be a general surgeon.
Okay, so he wants to be a doctor, and so he thought more specifically about that using a SMART goal plan, right? So you want to be a general surgeon, right? And the measure, how will you know that you are ready to do this great thing?
I get a licensed doctor, or licensed medical doctor in Florida.
In Florida, right? It's different states, right? So they don't let you cut people up until you've got the qualifications to do it, right? And then what are your attainable steps from today? How are you going to get there?
Doing a hospital internship, graduating high school with a 4.0 GPA, graduating college in a degree of biology, and taking medical school and being graduated.
Right, and you got residency, right? He was watching Ben Carson, you know, great surgeon, right? So why do you want to be this great surgeon, the relevant? Why is this important to you?
I want to help people out.
You love to help people, right? And you like to see people healthy, right? So time bound, we add up all those steps. How many years is your plan?
17.
17-year plan. Can we give him a hand? That's a big vision. That's older than how old you did, right? But I know you can do it, right? So what are some principles from Character GPS that you think will help you on that journey?
The can-do attitude, the TLC, and the golden rule, and the 3 T's.
Wonderful. So now what's one bad habit that you're going to give up so it doesn't distract you from becoming this wonderful surgeon?
I forget my responsibilities sometimes.
Okay, so you're going to take ownership to be on track, right? You also write something else there. TikTok. I knew there was something else there, right? That was one of those like distraction, escapism. He's going to reduce that so he can put more time, which medical school will require, right? How about a hand for Anthony? That is awesome. Right? And let's do one more. The second chip getter was Alicia. Come on down. Smile. So Alicia, what are some words that describe you? Yes, you are, very much so. Yeah. And so, just like, I forgot to ask you about your Myers-Briggs, your natural toolkit, right? You are a...
ISTP and ISFJ.
Right, she's ambidextrous, right? So he had, again, some great tools to work with, which for a surgeon will be very important to be consistent. What was your Myers-Briggs? She's a mastermind, right? She sees the big picture, very good. And so what are some strengths and weaknesses from that?
Well, my strength is realistic, being realistic, and weaknesses to be credible and skeptical.
Right. So again, we all know no one's perfect, right? We don't need to remind people of that sometimes, right? So she's gonna kind of bite her tongue, give feedback when people are welcoming that rather than just volunteering it, right? So what would you like to be someday? phlebotomist, right? You know, when you have to take blood and they can't find your vein and all that terrible stuff? I had that happen recently. I have black and blue marks. Well, a phlebotomist knows exactly how to do it, right? So that is a wonderful thing. So let's be specific now. What kind of phlebotomist do you want to be? Right, so you're going to go to the people rather than them having to come to you. That's wonderful, right? So what's the measure? How do you know when you're ready to do this?
When I get my certificate in Florida.
Right, you have to be certified, right, to be able to be that phlebotomist. So what are your attainable steps from today all the way to this great thing you're going to do to help people?
Volunteer at the hospital.
Which she's already doing right now,
Graduate high school.
right, with a good GPA, right?
And go to nursing school and college.
Right. And then
Oh, and
sometimes you do an internship in a hospital, kind of you learn a little bit more while you're passing your tests and everything, right? And then she'll pass that certification and be ready to go, right? So relevant, why do you want to do all this hard work to help people?
I love helping people.
Right, and you like to see people healthy, right? That's a wonderful thing. So, what are some GPS principles that are going to help you on this journey?
Staying true to myself and being kind to others.
Golden rule, right? Maybe a little can-do attitude, right? That always helps, right? All right, so what's a bad habit that you're going to take control in your life? You're going to break that bad habit so it doesn't distract you. Oversleeping, right? Okay, very good. How about a hand, right? So that's the drill. So all of our kids have prepared that. So they're going to come out and talk to you, share it with you. They're going to go through that whole drill. I apologize, the air conditioner was supposed to be fixed, and it's not, so it's getting hot in here. So guys, if you go take your script to your parents, walk them through what your plans are, what you learned about yourself, and we'll come back together here real quick and get you graduated, all right? So find your folks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Stand here, go on, make the name. Dog tag.
Last time.
So that way, kind of shepherd them.
I comment today? I didn't know that. I thought it was like.
Okay, take a minute
You
to
know what, I
wrap
brought my
up.
sweater because I thought I'd be cold because I'm always cold. But I'm like, oh, okay.
All right, come back up to your seats here. Great job, guys. I think our parents are very proud of the leaders that are emerging here today. All right, so this is going to be now our next steps in the process. Bob's going to call your name. This is the graduation walk, right? You're going to come up here. I'm going to give them their dog tags. There's one for each of the 7 toolkits. And Michael, are you wearing yours right now? Michael's modeling. The kids kind of tend to keep these around. They're kind of fun, right? And then I will give you your certificate. They have, again, Hero in the Mirrors or their vision boards. But they're going to walk over here, and there's 3 tables. The first one are books, DVD, resources, picks up in there. There's some fun shirts in the middle, picks up one there. And then there's kind of nice fun gifts over on the far side. And at the book table, Miss Debbie's book, Keys. We have a limited number of those. So Debbie explains all about playing the piano, plus a little bit about her kind of life. So that is an opportunity there. So we'll march in that order. And yeah, Michael could help out, right? And then at the end, we're going to have all the kids come up here. We'll take a group picture, and then we have graduation cake, Character GPS cake, not available in any store, right? And that is how we're going to then celebrate and bring our students across the finish line for a very hard but well-earned 4 days of Character GPS. Normally, we do this program over a whole semester, and we did all of it in 4 days. So they have really worked out. They should be very proud of themselves. So, if we hear the Grand March going. There we go. All right, Bob, lead away.
Anthony Ruiz Ramos.
Come on down, Anthony. Okay, you are fit and you are capable of pursuing the dreams you have for your life. Don't do this at home. I'm a trained professional. All right, very good. Next.
Malaysia Watts.
Malaysia.
Congratulations, young lady.
All right, we've got one each. Congratulations. I'm going to put this in your hands, okay? All right. You did a great job. Miss Debbie. Go to certificate.
Coulter Tate. Congratulations, Coulter. There you are, young man.
All right, congratulations. You are equipped. You are capable of pursuing the dreams you have for your life. And let's take a look at your, hold that up. All right, good job.
Jacob Wrestler. Thomas Wrestler. Congratulations, Thomas. Logan Duvall. Everybody squeeze his head a little bit there.
I usually don't have that problem, but you got a good head on your shoulders there.
That's really crazy. Xavier Rodriguez Tavares.
You are. Right. I'm gonna put this in your hand. Get a picture. Get that in. Yeah. Now again, if you're having trouble picking it out, remember you could also give it as a gift to parents or other family members, right? So, lots of opportunities here. We just passed Mother and Father's Day, maybe we missed out on that. Okay. All right, also, because I love baseball, and I'm a Rays fan, even whether they have a good season or not, so I've got a Rays notebook for everyone here, so you're welcome to grab those. And we are going to bring this to closure here. Again, parents, if you'd fill out the evaluation forms, because that's how we submit to get our grants from the state so we can provide this program for free. And we have a collection box right up there. So again, here are companies that support Character GPS, including McDonald's. They provided lunch, and Chick-fil-A provided lunch. We're very thankful for that. So let me give you a final blessing, and then we'll have cake, and we can pull this to a closure here. So again, we want to congratulate both my wife and Debbie. We've been praying for you guys, pulling for you guys. We're excited about your future. So let me put this blessing upon you. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of His hands. Congratulations to our graduates. All right. So, see if you have gifts there.
We need a group picture at some
Oh, we need a group picture, right? All the students come up here, please. You want one? All right. You're welcome. We'll get in.